And we're picking up with Sri Sarada Devi and her divine play. We're looking at the chapter on the human aspects of Holy Mother. And it follows a chapter on the divinity of Holy Mother, her divine aspects. And why is that important? Well, that's the nature of an incarnation, is that they are both divine and human. There's quite a few functions in that. One is it puts a handle on God. God the absolute unchanging, there's no way to relate to that. You cannot have a relationship with the absolute unchanging because it has no attributes. And so there's, aside from the statement, thou art that, you have nothing in common with with the divine absolute. And so it's very difficult to approach the formless. And so God does a favor to us, really, quite frankly, and manifests as purely as he can, because you need a slight impurity, just a hair of impurity, in order to take a body, in order to have a form. And so uh, God takes a form, and through that form demonstrates his divine principle, lives it, so that we have a living example of what God is getting at. What is the perfect human being like? What is perfect love like? What is faith like? What does it look like to live the scriptures? And so we don't have to read the scriptures and then sort of project ideas around it. We can look at a Buddha or a Krishna or a Jesus or a Ramakrishna or a Holy Mother and get a direct example of what the scriptures are getting at when they describe this way of life of what a human being is when they are being true to their nature, to Satchitananda. And so that's one way or one reason for it. And the other is also to demonstrate to us it's possible. This is possible. This is what the right way of life looks like. And so it gives you hope. It gives you it gives you an example of what you can shoot for, what you can aspire to. And it gives you a person. It gives you someone with a face and someone who can hug you, someone who can slap you, someone who can teach you. And so you have your divine ideal of a handle on the coffee cup called God so that you can pick it up and use it in your life. And so we've been looking at Holy Mother, and we looked at her divinity, and now we're looking at the aspects that endear her to us, her human aspects that make us feel comfortable, that make us feel loved, that make us feel like we can be comfortable and honest in her presence. We don't have to put on airs around her. And we're starting today's reading with the section called Caring for and Raising Children. Because Holy Mother was the eldest of her siblings, she had helped her mother raise her brothers and do the housework. When her brothers were married, she looked after her young sisters-in-law as if they were her own daughters. When they were pregnant or ill, the mother cared for them. When her brother, Abhaicharan, died, she looked after his mentally unbalanced wife, Shurabala, and her young daughter, Radhu. Holy Mother raised Radhu and sent her to school, tried to discipline her, initiated her, took her on pilgrimages, arranged her marriage, and even looked after her child, Bana Bihari. She took the child on her bed and sang lullabies to him. Similarly, she looked after her other nieces, Nalini and Maku, and Maku's child, Neda. Swami Parameshwarananda reminisced. The mother decorated Bana Bihari like baby Gopala. She put collyrium on the edge of his eyelids and a dot of sandal paste on his forehead, and she tied a tuft of hair on the top of his head. She also fed Bana Bihari like baby Gopala. In fact, that child looked like baby Krishna. Because Radhu and her mother, Shurabala, were not capable of taking care of the boy, the mother took responsibility for him. She sometimes received her visitors with the child on her lap. Swami Saradeshananda recalled, once on the mother's birthday, many disciples and devotees came to Jairambati to pay their respects. They offered flowers at her feet, and she blessed them. It was a festive occasion. A feast had been arranged. Some devotees were singing in the parlor, and the mother was cutting vegetables. She then cooked some soup and other things in a small wooden stove for her sister-in-law, Indumati, who had given birth to a child, Vijay, just a few days previously. She was lying in and not feeling well. There were no other women in her household, so the mother had to look after her. A festival was going on celebrating the mother's birthday, but she was unattached, like water on a lotus leaf. Once, a young monastic disciple cut a finger on his right hand while doing some work in Jairambati. It was difficult for him to eat. He was using a spoon with his left hand and somehow managing. When Holy Mother saw this, her heart melted. She sat near the disciple and fed him with her own hand. As long as it took his hand to heal, the mother fed him as a loving mother feeds her child. This grown up disciple was touched, having been fed by the mother. There's a few wonderful little things in here. I'm learning how to learn from Holy Mother because she didn't teach her philosophy. She didn't put it in words and give you lectures about it. When we're reading this book, the best way that we are learning is by watching, by seeing how she lived. And here she's giving us some clues, that in raising Radhu, the daughter of Shardabala, she stepped up to an opportunity that was presented to her. Her brother died, and the wife and the daughter were left without a husband in the house to help out. And so mother didn't go out looking for artificial ways to do things for other people. She didn't go out and seek out these things. She paid attention to her life. She paid attention to the people that mother or that the divine had brought into her circle. And by paying attention, she made herself available when the opportunities came. So she raised Radhu, took care of Shurdabala and let them live with her and watch the child. And then just here as we seeing the young man unable to eat. She could have let him struggle through it. He was making do with his spoon and making her go at it. But she takes the opportunity, and all the way till he's healed and is able to eat easily again, she just takes it upon herself to feed him every time. And so this is what it means for our lives. It's not that we have to run out now and go look for things to do to serve people, right? When you set your heart properly, Mother brings the people to you. Mother will bring you who she needs service for by you. You don't have to go find it. You make yourself available in your practice to Mother. You tell her that you're there for her and her ministry, her service to humanity, and that you are just keeping your eyes open. And please, may she let you know when that person is there or how you can help, right? And so then you just keep your eyes open in your life, being prayerful and available, and Mother will bring your opportunities of service to you. She'll bring the people that she needs someone to take care of to you, to take care of for her, right? And so our service is always to Mother. It's not to the people that we're helping, right? We're always serving Mother because she's the one helping. That way they don't get tangled up in our ego stories. They don't get tangled up in our ego requirements. We stay free, and that relationship with the person we're serving stays pure and unencumbered with egoistic situations, and we offer it to Mother at the end of the day. And so just to see how Mother is serving too, here he makes a note of saying that she serves with absolute detachment, right? So she's not sitting there keeping track of what she's done for these people, how much value they've gotten out of it, how in debt they are to her, right? So she's not doing any of that. She's simply being available to her chosen ideal and opening her heart in a way to be helpful in any way that she can to the divine. So it's just beautiful how she just hides all of that and more. I mean, you could read that paragraph probably 3 or 4 times and take notes on it each time, and you would understand a little bit more about how to serve, right? This is the wonder of Mother. This is, I think, the power of the divine feminine, because I think that's how, I'm still learning how women are put together and how they work in their lives. And I suspect this is one of them. I don't see many women standing up and doing lectures, but I see mothers, I see workers, I see women who are available and are doing what is necessary, right? They're not idle. That was one of the things I really noticed in India. I saw dozens and dozens and dozens of idle Indian men sitting around playing cards on the sidewalks, hanging out, sleeping in their in their in their cars and their boats. I never once in my trips to India have ever seen an idle woman. The women are always working, always, have kids on their hips and groceries on their back, and it's an amazing and embarrassing thing as a man to have noted that distinction, you know. And so when women teach, they teach by what they are, by what they're doing, by how they're engaged and involved, and not so much standing up and pontificating about it, or answering questions about it. Even when people went to see the mother, what did she do? She served them, right? She didn't just give them lectures or teachings. She would always give them something to eat, always send them home with some extra food, always be concerned about something in their life. And so this is the beauty of the divine feminine, and why anytime God incarnates, he does so as both male and female, so that we can get this understanding that all of us are fundamentally important in this play of the divine. The next section is called Holy Mother as Singer and Storyteller. Ramakrishna said that Holy Mother was, in fact, Saraswati. She had come to impart knowledge. According to the Hindu tradition, Saraswati is the goddess of learning and music, so she is depicted as holding a book in one hand and a veena in the other hand. Holy Mother did not go to school or take music lessons. From her childhood, she listened to Baul songs, songs from the Ramayana, songs from the Manasa, Tarja, a kind of contest of songs composed extemporary, songs from the yatras and the kirtans sung for 24 hours at a time. Village children learned nursery rhymes, folk rhymes, and stories from their grandparents and other relatives. That's one of the beauties of extended family. I know when I was growing up in Germany, all the families lived together. The grandparents always lived in an apartment in the farmhouse, and during the day when the family was out working, the current kids would be hanging out with the grandparents, and it was the grandmother's job, a very important job, which we're completely missing in modern day culture in America anyway. The grandmother's job was to pass on the stories, to talk about the great epics that teach people how to live and whatnot, carry on the family history, carry on the family lineage, the stories of family and the history of the family, how it was carried on. I remember when I was 18, my grandfather invited me to come visit him in Arkansas at his house on my own. And he just wanted to share some things with me. And I went and spent 2 weeks with him. And it was amazing because, I grew up in the military, so I was moving all the time. I had no sense of place in the world, no sense of history or family, really, because I was just always with my immediate family. And our family saying was, family is home is where we're all together. So it was never tied with a physical place because we were moving all the time. So I felt like an island. And this weekend with my grandfather was so, so, so important to me. He walked around and gave me the family history. He took me to the little cemetery in Pine Knot, Arkansas, and showed me all the graves and told me a little bit about each one of them, and showed me the place where mine would go if I chose to be buried in that cemetery. And he took the family all the way back to the mid 1700s, 1749. And that's when my family arrived. I had never known that until I was 18 years old, that I had a history in the South going all the way back to 1749, and that the first son of every generation had been a minister going all the way back. And so my grandfather shared that, and that was one of his reasons for wanting me to come there, is because at that point I was going to go into theater. I was going to be an actor. And he said, he was like, no, no, you're not going to be an actor. So he inspired me. He didn't demand that I become a minister, but the way he spoke of it and the history that he was sharing as he was talking about it, it had an immense power in me. And so I decided after that 2 weeks with my granddad that I would go to seminary and become a minister, uh, and continue the family tradition. And so this, we're sitting here, mother as singer and storyteller. This is the part of the extended family that we really have to recover somehow, to give this job back to someone to carry on this duty, because this is what holds us together. This is what brings a unity and a sense of belonging together. So from her childhood, she listened to all of these different sources for songs and stories. Village children, they learned the nursery rhymes and the folk rhymes and the stories from their grandparents and from other older relatives. The mother remembered these songs and stories. Moreover, when she married Ramakrishna, she learned many songs from him. Later, Holy Mother remarked, "Ah, what a great singer the master was. His voice was so sweet. While singing, he was one with his song. His voice is still ringing in my ears. When I remember it, other voices appear so flat. Naren also had a melodious voice. Girish had a sweet voice too." In the Nahabat at Dakshineshwar, Holy Mother and Lakshmi heard many songs from the Master's room, and at nightly they would sing those songs. One day the Master heard them singing as he walked toward the Panchavati. Yoginma recalled, "The Mother had a good musical voice. One night she and Lakshmi were singing in low voices. It was very resonant, and it reached the Master's ears. The next day he said, 'Hey, last night you were singing very well. That's good. That's very good.' Thus the Master encouraged Holy Mother to sing. Singing is a wonderful way to commune with God." This, I can't tell you how true this is. This is marvelous to sing some songs. I carry, everywhere I move these days, I have a songbook from the San Francisco monastery with like 300 great songs in it. And I've got that keyboard that many of you have seen. And, every morning I go out and sing Remembrance at Dawn as my first chant of the day. Right? At dawn, I remember the Atman shining in my heart, you know. And those times during when I do puja to sit and sing God songs one on one when no one else is around, it's a fantastic practice, and it really, really opens the heart. And it does not matter one whit what you sound like when you sing. You just sing, open your heart, and imagine Mother just sitting there looking into the heart as you sing to her. It's quite, quite wonderful. Singing is a wonderful way to commune with God. Sometimes during the evenings in Jairamati, Holy Mother told stories and nursery rhymes to Radhu, Maku, and Nalini. One day Radhu complained that she had already heard those rhymes and asked Holy Mother to sing a song. At Radhu's request, the mother sang a song from the Chaitanya Leela by Girish Ghosh. It goes like this: "O Keshava, bestow your grace upon your luckless servants here. O Keshava, who delights to roam Vrindavan's glades and groves. O Madhava, our mind's bewitcher, sweet one, who steals our hearts, sweetly playing on your flute. Chant, O mind, the name of Hari. Sing aloud the name of Hari. Praise Lord Hari's name." As did Ramakrishna, Holy Mother encouraged monks and devotees to sing devotional songs. Shara Jubala wrote, "This evening there was Kali Kirtan in the Udbodhan house. The monks of the Belar Mat took part in it. The music commenced at 8:30 in the evening. All of the women devotees sat on the upper veranda to hear the music. I was rubbing oil on the master's feet and could hear the songs from her room. Now and then the monks sang some songs that the master had sung. Excited, the mother remarked, 'The master sang this very song.' The monks were singing, 'The black bee of my mind is drawn in sheer delight to the blue lotus flower of Mother Shyama's feet. The blue flowers of the feet of Kali, Shiva's consort, tasteless to the bee, are the blossoms of desire. The mother became restless. Tears flowed from her eyes. She said to me, "Come, dear, let us go to the veranda and listen to this song." When the kirtan ended, I bowed down to the mother and I returned home. Some evening after Vespers, Holy Mother sent her attendant to ask Sharadananda to sing some songs. He had drums and a tanpura in his parlor downstairs. At the mother's request, the Swami would sing in his melodious voice, "Behold my mother playing with Shiva, lost in the ecstasy of joy. Drunk with the draught of celestial wine, she reels and yet she does not fall." And also, "In dense darkness, O Mother, your formless beauty sparkles. Therefore the yogis meditate in a dark mountain cave. In the lap of boundless dark, on Mahanirvana's waves upborne, peace flows serene and inexhaustible." Some mornings, the mother would hum songs after meditation. Swami Ishanananda mentioned that while awakening the master from his night rest, she hummed a couple of lines from the Hindi bhajan. In the morning, the mother Kushalya awoke Ramachandra, and she asked her son to go to do good to men, sages, and gods. In 1912, when the mother was in Varanasi, Swami Shantanananda recorded that the mother sang this song early in the morning. The blissful garden of Shiva is Varanasi, where the mother Annapurna dwells gracefully. When actresses from Girish's theater came to visit the mother, she asked them to sing some songs. They joyfully entertained Holy Mother and her companions, as well as the monks in Udbodhana House. Holy Mother was a wonderful storyteller, had a fantastic memory. She could relate in detail the stories of her personal life and the events of the Master's life to her disciples and devotees. Swami Sharadananda received the mother's accounts from the Master while writing Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play. So this wonderful gift that she had for that singing and that sharing. I love the fact that the actresses would sing and delight in singing for Holy Mother. Mostly because of the meaning behind it. You know, theater was considered impure, and especially the women in theater were basically considered to be harlots, you know. And so it was always kind of, upright people just wouldn't normally go to theater. Even my grandparents were like that. That was one of the reasons my grandfather didn't want me to go into theater, was what do they call that, stigma attached to it. And so, but in Ramakrishna, again, we just see that infinite grace of his, that he, went to the theater. He accepted theater people as his disciples. He believed in them and had a vision for their lives. You know, you look at Girish, who is an alcoholic, a playwright, a real bohemian type fellow. And yet the master's patience was endless with him. His love for him and respect for him was endless. And he turned him into a saint. And I love that, that the master didn't just tolerate, the actors and actresses. It wasn't like he just simply allowed them to be there. He had them sing for him. He went and saw their performances. He celebrated their lives. And when Girish even offered to quit writing plays and to become a monk, Ramakrishna said, "No, you're doing a wonderful thing. Your plays serve many people." Right. And that's the best way. If you're going to take the householder path, then make your life about helping people through your work somehow, place yourself in the service of God's minions as you do your job, think of it that way. I've shared with you quite a few times. I used to work in the human resources department at San Francisco State. And after I started doing my studies initially and started thinking about spiritual life, that was one of the things I used to remind myself. I was like, I'm not here as a computer science person. I'm here as a lover of humanity. And that's my first job. Incidentally, I'm here as a computer person, right? And so to remember that our real job in this world is to be a lover of people, a lover of humanity, and that our job as an engineer or a dentist or a bag boy or whatever, an influencer, that our real job is to be a lover of God, a lover of people, and to see ourselves that way, to remind ourselves of that all the time in our offices, on our bus rides, etc. Holy Mother as a householder. That was the other incredible thing about Ramakrishna is that he lived perfectly for both paths simultaneously. He showed the monks how to be perfect monks by his outrageous renunciation, his pristine discernment, and his dedication to God and God alone in his life. And he lived the perfect householder's life. He was married, he had a wife, he had a household, and they saw the whole world as their children, the whole world as their family. And so they practiced loving everyone as their family. It is the quintessential householder path. It's exactly the way to do it. Yes, be married, but don't feed your desires off of each other. Oh, I'm sorry, somebody's in the chat. Nope. Somebody's waiting to get in. Let me see. Very good. Sorry, Bindu.
That's okay.
We're on page 642.
Okay, thank you, Swami.
Or 643. All right. So, yes, in that unique way, Ramakrishna was both the perfect householder and the perfect monk. And he showed that both are paths to God, right? If you're going to take the householder path, do it like Ramakrishna did. Keep your service to your wife and your service to your children as your primary practice, your duties at work, to do everything as an offering to God. And then the money that you make, the first, of course, is to take care of yourself and your family. And then the circle around that is the friends and spouses of your family. And then outside the circle of that is the monks and nuns and the spiritual community that you get your benefit from. And then the circle outside that is your society at large. Though that is your responsibility. You are the ones that uphold society. You guys uphold the Vedanta centers. You uphold the monks and the nuns who require or depend on your devotion to the beloved to enable their life of single-minded dedication. And so really the householder is the kingpin to the whole thing. And it's a beautiful path. And if it's done rightly, if it's done like this, you are a great blessing to the world, a great blessing to the world. And Ramakrishna had immense respect for householders who were able to live the life as a spiritual seeker should, to have that mindfulness, to have that renunciation. All right. As God is neither a monk nor a householder, so the Holy Mother was neither a nun nor a householder. She represented both ideals. The most vital things needed to make family life joyful are mutual love and respect, patience and forbearance, detachment and devotion to work, adjustment and forgiveness, selflessness and sympathy, joyfulness and spirituality. These 12 qualities are essential for a happy home. The mother upheld her household with these qualities, so wherever she lived, peace and joy always prevailed there. Wow, I'm marking this right now because this is a lecture. This is a coming lecture right there. The 12 qualities essential for a happy home. There you are. So when you see that in the bulletin, you were here for the idea. Holy Mother made people her own with her divine love, with her compassion, and with her sweet words. You see, that's how we do it, right? This is how we love. This is what we stand ready for, always. We stand ready so that we can make people our own with our divine love, with our compassion, and with our sweet words. And so this is how we navigate this world. Those three things should be carried with us everywhere: our divine love, our sweet compassion, and our sweet words. One day at Jairambati, someone used harsh words when speaking to Shorabala. At this, the mother remarked, "One should not hurt others even with words. One must not speak an unpleasant truth if it is not necessary. By indulging in rude words, one's nature becomes rude. One's sensitivity is lost if one has no control over one's speech." Right. And so this is a wonderful thing to learn. There was a time, especially in the 90s, at least in my life, where, caustic uh, sarcasm was sort of the humor of the day, right? And I can remember getting together with our friends and being witty around the dinner table and basically seeing who could be slapped down in the most clever way. And I look back on that and I just cringe. It's like what a horrible way to spend time with friends, sitting there insulting each other and being sarcastic about things. It's like that doesn't build anybody up, and even though it's done in fun, it still has its pain. It still has its unpleasantness, right? And so those types of senses of humor, if you have it, don't celebrate it. Transcend it. Transcend it. Try and change the things. Try and raise that humor up to something that's not at someone's expense. Wit doesn't have to be at someone's expense. Jokes don't have to be at someone's expense. And so try and keep ourselves above above that line if we can manage, right? So that we can make people our own with our divine love, compassion, and sweet words, right? By indulging in rude words, one's nature becomes rude. One's sensitivity is lost, right? You start not realizing how mean you're being, right? You start living in the world very, very meanly with your sarcasm and your caustic sense of humor, and you don't realize that you're hurting some people. Some people don't have that kind of thick skin, or you're touching on things that really are sensitive issues for some people. And so he's saying one sensitivity is lost. And if your reaction to me saying that is like, "I'll get over it. It's just a little this," you've lost your sensitivity, my friend. You've lost your ability to discern, right? Because we should always be excited to be taught how we can be more loving and how we can be more kind. It's not at all like this current mood in the country that we're, you know, every man for himself, selfishness ruling the roost. It's not the way, and we're not going to engage in that. That's not what we're going to be. One's sensitivity is lost if one has no control over one's speech. The master used to say that one should not ask a lame person how he became lame, right? You just don't rub in a bad condition or a difficult condition for someone. Swami Ishanananda recalled, one morning in Jairambati, while the mother was rubbing her body with oil, someone was sweeping the courtyard. After the work was done, the person threw the broomstick aside. At this, the mother said, "What is this? You've thrown away the broomstick with such disrespect when your work is done. It takes the same amount of time to put it gently in a corner as it does to throw it aside. One should not trifle with a thing, though it may be very insignificant. If you respect a thing, the thing also respects you. Will you not again need that broomstick? Besides, it is also a part of this family. From that standpoint also, it deserves to be treated with respect. Even a broomstick should be treated with respect. One should perform even an insignificant task with respect." right? Which means that it's not the conditions and circumstances that determine our quality of work or the respect in our work. It's the fact that we're inspired to our work by our nature, which is of the highest order, the nature of divine love, of wisdom and being, that we are the verb to God's inspiration within us, to that Satchitananda. And so that's why we do this, that's why we treat everything with respect and why we're careful that we do things carefully, no matter how insignificant the work might be, because it's our practice. It's our practice. I can tell you, by cleaning the shrine over all these years, how much that annoyed me in the first years, because in the monastery, the cleanest room was always the shrine. It was always spick and span, and it never needed to be cleaned or dusted because it was done at least once a day, every day. And I would get so irritated at having to do that all the time. And just the fact that that didn't matter, whether I was irritated or not, having to do that every day for 20 something years, uh, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about karma yoga. I shared that time where I sat on the shrine one day, just fed up. And I told Mother, I said, I'm sick and tired of washing your shrine and having to fold that napkin so I can get all the petals of all those stupid lotuses everywhere. Right? It's like I've had it. How am I supposed to do this for my whole life long, for crying out loud? Right? And I imagined Mother saying to me, in there, she said, "You know why it's so difficult for you?" She said, "Because you only do it to get it done. You don't do it to enjoy time with me." And I was like, whoa, wow, that was direct. But I thought about that and it made all the difference. It made all of the difference. When I remembered every time I did it after that, I remembered I'm not doing this to get it done. I'm doing this to spend time with Mother, in service to my ideal. That changes everything. And it will change everything about your life because everything you do can be done with that same spirit, not just to get it done, right? But to do it as an offering, to do it for the beloved. To make Holy Mother's life comfortable, devotees brought land from her brothers and built a house for her. They also bought a paddy field for her so that she might not suffer from lack of food. Lalit Chattopadhyay bought an adjacent pond called Punyapukur so that Mother would not have to go far to wash her clothes and dishes. These basic things are essential in village life. Look at that. You see how that goes around, right? This is the divine plan for what humanity would look like. We've got Holy Mother, looking for every opportunity to serve the people around her. And then the people around her are buying her her own pond, buying a land and building her a house, buying her a paddy field so she doesn't go hungry. You see, this is proper communism. This when Jesus started the church, he didn't allow anybody to own any personal property. Everything was donated to the apostles, and then the apostles would hand out that property to people as it was needed. Pure communism. That was what Jesus' intention for the church was, right? But not communism as some cold political aspect of dictatorship. This communism, what does it mean? Living in community, valuing each member of your community, looking for service to how to help each member of your community, how to hold your community up, right? To have a dignity about your community, a sense of dedication and service. This is what it means, to be a patriot, not to be some idiot running around with an AK-47 in the grocery store. That's not what being a patriot's about. That's what being a coward is about. Being a real person is someone who is a pillar to their community, someone who's there helping and are aware of the underprivileged in their community, and not just aware of them, but has met them, has talked to them, has made their resources available to them to help them. I was going through I'm very happy today because my YouTube feed had this line of people doing beautiful things for people. just different ways of serving. There was a few videos of a barber that would go out and give free haircuts to homeless people. He would take his folding chair and all of his accoutrement out to the park and find homeless people to give haircuts to. And I watched a couple of those, and his kind way of speaking with them and talking to them as he was cutting their hair, and their delight at getting their first haircut, some of them in a very long time. So there was that aspect, and another man who was going in and paying people's grocery bills, and another man who was just going around and giving $1,000 away to anybody who would help him. He would ask for help in some little trivial way, and if the person agreed to help him, he would end up giving them $1,000 cash just as a reward for them being a nice person. And I was looking, I was like, that's what God meant it to be. You know, it's not that he wanted great churches. It's not that he wanted effective congregations. He wanted communities. He wanted communities of people who cared about each other. That's what makes life fulfilling. It's not the moralizing, that we've turned religion into, the do's and the don'ts. It's not getting to realization as fast as possible so you can get out of here, right? This is not what God was seems to be searching for. What God seems to establish when he comes is community, a community of sacrifice, a community of compassion, a community of caring, where we practice being one, where I see your desires as my desires, just in the same way that I've attached to my body. And when it asks for pizza, boy, I fall over the chairs running to the store to get pizza fast enough to serve this thing, right? And so for us in our communities, we should be attached to each other. And we find that somebody wants pizza, man, we we break our arm getting to the store fast enough to buy that person a pizza, to give it and to care like that. This is the way. This is our potential. This is what we could be. Not great scientists, not famous singers, not perfect dancers, not handsome models, right? That's all that stuff. All of that will leave you hungry. But be a great community builder. Be a great lover of humanity. See everyone as your family, everyone as your own responsibility. That's how life is fulfilling. That's how we feel like life is meaningful to us. And so if you're missing meaning, if you're feeling empty, if you're feeling depressed and feeling alone, make a sandwich, go outside and look for somebody to give it to. I guarantee you that will be a start of a new life for you. I guarantee that that will be a cure to your depression at some point. So anytime you're stuck, serve. Anytime you forget, serve. Anytime you're lonely, serve. Anytime you're depressed, serve. This is the way. The mother was neither extravagant nor stingy, right? But she was frugal. Some devotees gave her money every month to maintain her household, as she had to look after her nieces and disciples, the visiting devotees who had came to her for initiation. She had her disciples buy paddy during the harvesting season because it was cheaper then. She purchased groceries from a distant market at a wholesale rate. She vehemently opposed the tax that was imposed on her house, arguing that it was a religious institution. She acted as a prudent householder in these things. Swami Saradeshananda wrote, every year at the proper time, the mother arranged to have the annual necessities such as rice, pulses, molasses, and other things brought from the market when they were at the cheapest rate. Again, before the rainy season, the mother would arrange to collect firewood for cooking and to repair doors and windows, the mud walls, and the thatched roof. She kept an eye on every little thing. See, there's mother teaching you how to be householders and teaching anyone else how to be a monk, right? You keep your eyes on the details, you take your duties seriously, you're responsible, you get them finished, you do them as an offering, which means you put your heart into it, you put your love into it, right? She could not bear any waste. She asked her attendants to collect cow dung and dry patties in the sun for use for fuel. When parcels came from Calcutta and other places, she asked that the boxes and wrapping papers be saved for a later use. The peelings from vegetables and fruits and the foamy water from boiled rice were given to the cows. Leftover rice and dal were given to beggars or to the cows. The saying, waste not, want not, is very true. The less we waste, the less we lack in the future. The volume of food wasted in Western countries could feed all the people of the Third World. Ramai, later Swami Gaurishwarananda, often came to visit Holy Mother from Badenganj High School and stayed with her over the weekends. One Saturday, a woman devotee cooked a gourmet dish called bhuni khichdi for lunch, and the mother saved some for Ramay. When he came in the afternoon, the mother gave him that food to eat. He ate some and was about to throw away the leftovers. The mother told him, "My son, don't throw away such good food." She asked him to call a poor woman who lived nearby, and she joyfully took away the remaining food. Then the mother said, "One should have one's due. What men eat shouldn't be wasted on cattle. What cattle can eat shouldn't be thrown away to dogs. What cattle and dogs can't eat can be given to the fish in the ponds. Nothing should be wasted." Right? We're going to stop there for today.